Hey, Alain. Thanks for coming today and have this conversation.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, so I currently work at Google. I've been in the company since 2007. I work on many teams. I was in Google Play not that long ago, and then I transferred to work on this project called Google Station. So the goal is to bring internet to people that don't have fast internet around the world. So I manage a team of engineers. I work with many teams across Google to make this happen. So it's like a massive team-wide effort.
And what is this person you're nominating? How long have you been working with this person?
So the person I'm nominating, his name is Nnamdi. He was my first manager at Google back in 2007, and I changed many teams over the last 12 years. But I've been back working for him like 4 times because he's by far the best manager I had in the company. And then every time I leave for too long, I feel like I have to go back to him and just work for him again.
And what does he do?
He's a senior manager, and he's managing a team of just various functions like front end, back end, mobile, and he's responsible for a lot of the strategy around the emerging markets and how to scale in those countries like Nigeria, India, Thailand, all those places. That's his main task right now.
What motivates you to nominate him?
Because I really believe that people like him should be rewarded, and recognized. I feel there's not enough managers that were truly genuine, that cared so much about people, that put other people first, even though it's not maybe the best for their career in the short term. At the long term, people like that build a really solid network of people that really loved and remember when they worked for him, and I thought it would be just great to hopefully inspire more people to be adopting this leadership style.
Can you tell me a story that shows him putting people first?
Yeah, so one of his projects got canceled, right, for complex reasons, and what he did was instead of forcing people to stay in his team, he really knew that it's best for them to go to other specific teams, and he went out of his way to convince the other leadership that they should take on that group of people and move them under their organizations. And it took so much work out of his part, and he had to convince many teams many orgs to find a new home for that team, and he had nothing to gain from this, really. All the credit will go to another leader, but he cared so much about that group of people that he went above and beyond to fight for them so they can find a good home and thrive in that new environment.
And this is before the project was actually cancelled. This is that knowing it might be a possibility.
Yeah, they had some signals that they will probably shut it down, and then he's already trying to find the new home for them.
So there is an impact for him because pushing people away is good for them, but he might suffer by having a smaller team and make it less likely to sustain the project. And
also he's the one who started a project, so he invested so many years in this project, right? And he knew that the people were passionate about it, and that they will be much happier if they go somewhere else and they dismantle that team and try to keep them in his org, right? And it ended up being the right call. The team did really well outside, and they're so happy and they're so grateful. He didn't get much of a credit for it, but people who saw how he operated, completely remembered it and respected that.
And how do you feel going through that experience?
I really feel like this guy, he get my back, right? That's how I feel. I know if something strange or negative will happen to me, he will fight for me. And even though it's not best for him, he will do the best for me, right? And then makes me really, when I go to work, I feel really good because I know he will do whatever he he needs to do for me, and then I work harder for him because I'm so grateful that I don't have to worry about like my manager, like not caring too much about me and just thinking about company and himself. But he thinking about me like makes me feel like really good.
I'm sure the team will be very productive working together.
His team, like every time he managed a team, like his team is the best in the org. I've never seen a time where his team is not the best in an entire org. Always has been the best. People are so focused, their mind is so clear, and they work so well together. That's the best part. Like they work so well together, and then other teams will, like there's fights and stuff like that. But his teams always gel well together. Like very little conflict, like almost no conflict. And if this conflict is resolved very quickly, and like then people like get along well after that.
Is that because he's really good at picking people, or he's so good at, getting people, building psychological safety, as you mentioned in the story?
I think it's a combination of both. Like he's able to find the right people who's going to be bringing a positive atmosphere, and also he's the best I have seen in create an environment where people feel safe and productive and creative and collaborative and helping each other, like in ways that many people will not even notice. Like he will find when someone start to feel like at the unease, and then he will notice it when other people don't. And his team, his reportees will naturally pick on that, and they will unconsciously learn from him. Right? Like so, when I left him, I didn't even leave. Like it was a reorg, and I was put somewhere else. Like I started adapting his management style without even noticing it. I was like, I thought that's how you're supposed to be, right? I got so used to this stuff, so he has it's a very good impression on his people.
That's why, like you mentioned, he mentors you to learn a lot of skills. Yes. This is by not really like lecturing, but actually behaving that way, and you naturally pick it up and absorb.
He's just leading by example, right? Like he will he'll coach me when I screw up, right? Like I screw up so many times, and then he will always be supportive and give me like clear feedback, encouraging, and then and himself, like looking at the way he leads people, it's you learn just by looking at it. And then like even in a difficult situation, he handled it with so much kindness.
Can you give an example of that difficult situation?
Oh man, like there's so many times like where felt like people took advantage of his kindness, and then and they'll like do things to his team, and he'll always be like kind, but not like a doormat, right? Like not like be pushover. Like he will be firm, but always be kind, right? And he will never like talk behind people's back. He will always be professional, and so like there'll be times where like one time he had like a really large org, right? And then something happened where like they decided to dismantle his org into like his team became like really small, and for no reason, right? Like he didn't do anything wrong, right? And then the way he handled it was like just amazing. I was like, wow, like most people would be like really sad or quit or like badmouth people, and then he just decided to do what's best for the people, like, and then accept like this new situation. And then even though it was like super negative for him, at the end, long term, like he became more successful than anybody else in the org because of the way he handled it and the way people saw him handling it.
And you mentioned that besides, he had many obstacles in the past, and this is what you mentioned is one of the story. Do you have maybe another story just to illustrate like how he was able to navigate those situations and how those become a opportunity for people around him to learn and be inspired?
Yeah, he had like plenty of really bad managers, like
himself.
Yeah, like we were managing him, like his boss, right? And then where they will just create conflicts for like no reason, I don't know why. Then they will just try to please everybody, and then because of that, like the project will be delayed or like they'll have like a lot of problems, and then like the team his team like will always be doing well because he will shield from all of that, and then he will even coach his boss on how to, like try to teach him, like, look, like, I know you're my manager, but like there's things you need to do that are just not right? And then and he will keep the team focused and try to hide all the mess from like the rest of the org, and then he'll have to do that for like a very long time until the team made so much progress that it was clear who was executing well, and then the rest of the org kind of got inspired by that, and then people like start to rally, and then like the org got better. Like they start to recognize where there was the problem, and changes were made, and then because of his team, where it was able to focus and do well, like people were able to see like who was doing the work, who wasn't, and then at the end the org became like really good.
So another question I have is in the nomination form you mentioned he deeply cared about people even if they leave the team.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of that?
So one of the example is that every time someone needs anything, it's like any career advice or any like mentoring, or if someone needs help from someone on his team, like he'll be like a champion for any of that, right? Like anything that you need, like from you or someone that right? Like he will be like always available to help, right? And also, even the people that he had to like exit, or like do something difficult with them, like he's always handle it with like dignity, right? Like a lot of people will like just get, like act like with no kindness, right, and just get rid of them. But he always like thought everybody like deserved like a chance, and then like it's not because they didn't do well in one situation that they're not gonna do well somewhere else. So he always felt like the type of person who will be like positive that way, even though like in situations are not so great, right?
What is one skill that you learned from him by watching how he behaves?
It's put other people first. Like that's the number one skill. It's when you start to become like toxic, or like you start to become selfish, like you need to kind of change your mindset and then remember like it's not about you, right? Like your team is more important than yourself. And he coached me early on that, and when I was one of his mentees, like I really learned that from him, where it's all about like how you control like your kind of like self-motivation, so like you don't end up being like toxic for the team or for the org, right? So like that's like the and after a while like it becomes more natural, because like I think humans, a lot of humans are kind of a little bit selfish, right? Like and insecure, and then but then if you work with someone like him who's very secure and confident and put other people first and deliver strong results, you realize that there's a better way, right?
What you would say to Nnamdi if he's in front of camera?
So thank you so much for being an amazing leader. Been so inspiring. I just cannot thank you enough. Like you make my career so much better, where I was able to lead teams and get feedback from other people about how they loved my management style, which really comes from you, and I cannot be like more grateful for you for all you did for me.
How do you think about SFELC and this award? How do you see that?
I'm really excited about this because I feel there's no real venue for recognizing people like that who are, to me, they're like legends in Silicon Valley or even in the world, right? Like of exemplary leaders. I feel like there's not enough good leaders, right? And then I feel like this could be like a beginning of like a movement or something that could be bigger, where we can demonstrate like what is good, effective, selfless leadership, and then why it's the best way, right? Like servant leadership type of thing, right? And so I'm excited that this is like the first time I see something that could scale to more than just like my team and my organization and even my company. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Cool. Well, thanks for Alain for staying here and having this conversation. Really, fun to have this to chat with you. Yeah, it's a very inspiring story.
Thank you very much.